Here at Team TripleJump, we play a lot of video games. I know, shocker. Because of this, over the years we've gotten used to an awful lot of different video game tropes. You know, those themes and motifs that crop up time and time again that have become ingrained in video game culture. Some tropes and cliches are completely harmless, and we don't mind the odd deus ex machina here and there if it means that our favourite protagonist gets to stick it to whatever baddie they're up against. Some, however, either come up so often that we're tired of them or are so grating that they make us want to wrench our consoles from the mains and throw them out of the nearest window. And so, in the spirit of catharsis and the fact that we love nothing more than a good old whinge from time to time, we've gathered the most vexatious to present to you in list format. I'm Ben from TripleJump, and here are 10 awful video game cliches we're totally sick of. Number 10. Silent protagonists. Don't you just hate it when you're going about your everyday life and someone comes up to you and just stares at you, and when you ask what they want, they continue to say nothing and you're forced into a one-sided conversation until you're able to glean what it is they're actually after and leave again? What's that? You don't hate that because it never actually happens and is just a silly video game cliche? As I thought. The silent protagonist trope is one that's been used by a variety of games and franchises over the years, from the Crash Bandicoot and Kirby series to Half-Life and its sequel and the Doom series. We get that it's done in order to help players identify more with the character, lend them a sense of anonymity or mystery, or a combination of the two, but I don't know about you, but I've never felt the need, personally, to identify particularly closely with an Australian marsupial. Considering the huge range of brilliant voice actors working in the industry currently, we think it's high time that the silent protagonist was made a thing of the past. Hell, we'll even settle for written dialogue if you can't afford a voice actor. It's better than nothing. Number 9. The damsel in distress. In fairness, this one doesn't crop up as much as it once did, which we're really rather thankful for, but every so often some studio or another still churns out a game where the plot boils down to your classic DID scenario, and it's really frustrating to behold. If you're wondering what we mean by classic DID scenario, or damsel in distress scenario if you want to get less abbreviated about this, we're talking about those plots that revolve around some helpless woman who's gone and gotten herself kidnapped by a big old meanie and the hunky bloke who's tasked with saving her. Hooray! The trope rose to prominence in the 80s courtesy of the likes of the Super Mario, The Legend of Zelda and Dragon's Lair series, and in the years since it's been the go-to for game developers who need a tried and true narrative for their games. The thing is though, it's been done to death, and at this point it just feels like a bit of a cop-out for studios who can't think of a better story to tell. Also, it is a bit patronising, isn't it? Implying that all these women are just victims who need some big dumb hunk to come and save them. Like me. I could do it! No, I couldn't. Number 8. Escort missions. We don't claim to be experts on the matter of hostage retrieval and the like here at Team TripleJump, so we can't say for certain whether or not the average escort mission in video games is anything like how it would go down in real life. What we do know, though, is that escort missions are generally the most painful segment of any title they're in. If you're unfamiliar with the humble escort mission, then first of all, lucky you, but second, allow me to clue you in on the logistics. Basically, you'll stumble upon a character, often a damsel in distress, see the previous entry, who's in need of transportation, generally to somewhere that's safer than where they are now. The issue is that this person will often be A, quite slow, clumsy, or a bit of both, and B, entirely incapable of looking after themselves to the point where you begin to wonder how they've made it this far in life without wandering into traffic or forgetting to eat for so long that they starve to death. Almost without exception, escort missions are dull, frustrating, and stop a game dead in its tracks, so it's probably time to lead the trope to a cliff edge and give it a good hard shove. Number 7. Food restoring health. Food! It's delicious, it's nutritious, it's at the centre of so many social gatherings, from the humble family dinner to the extravagant holiday feast. It can help heal a broken heart, soothe a cold, or simply just cheer you up after a bad day. You know what food can't do though? Fix a bullet wound! In many video games, players need items that will allow them to heal their characters. Things like first aid kits, medicine, and potions all make complete sense. You get a boo-boo, and either by the power of modern medicine or magic, you're back in the fight. Several titles over the years, however, have opted to make food their healing items, and that just doesn't sit well with us. If you get attacked by an angry man in the street, chowing down on a questionable bit of meat you found in a bin isn't going to do anything except maybe give you food poisoning on top of your already fractured skull. Yes, a balanced diet is key to the healing process, but the human body still takes time to bounce back, and no amount of poultry you found on the floor is going to change that. Don't try it. Number 6. Superior race with superior technology, but they're all long dead. Another plot cliche we're absolutely sick and tired of seeing due to the fact that it's been done to death is one that crops up in a lot of sci-fi titles. There was once a race of beings with technology far superior to that which is available to those living in the present day, but some catastrophe or another wiped them all out and their fancy doodads along with them. Don't get us wrong, the idea of a highly technologically advanced species that's been blipped out of existence, leaving modern-day folks desperately trying to rediscover their knowledge, isn't a bad one. In fact, some of our favourite games involve such a premise. Mass Effect, Horizon Zero Dawn, Halo, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom, Outer Wilds, Metroid, Assassin's Creed, Skyrim, Subnautica, the list goes on and on. And that is the issue, because a novel idea doesn't feel so novel anymore once everyone's doing it, so come on game developers, shake it up a bit. What about a superior race with cool tech, but they're still alive and hoarding it like a technology dragon? Or a superior race that's long dead, but their technology was rubbish? Now that's a game I'd play the hell out of. Number 5. Exploding barrels. A little while ago we made a video called 10 Bits of Video Game Science That Are Total Nonsense, in which we talked about how ridiculous the idea of exploding barrels is on account of the fact that conditions inside the barrel would have to be 100% perfect in order for them to ignite and blow up. Well, it's been over 2 years since we released that video and we're still mad at the concept. No end of video games feature exploding barrels in some capacity, whether they're just regular old TNT-filled casks or drums full of acid, electricity, or slag. Slag. And we're here to tell you that we're absolutely sick of them. First of all, who needs that much explosive material in the first place? Unless you're trying to demolish a dam or level an area the size of Manhattan, there's simply no need to be in possession of all of these barrels in the first place. There's simply no need to be in possession of all of these barrels at all. And second of all, why are they always just left lying around so that any old idiot can get their hands on them? Do people not understand the chaos someone with ill intentions could unleash if they got their hands on a bunch of tubs filled with C4? Someone needs to put a stop to this madness now. Number 4. Copy-paste baddies. Game development is hard. Really hard. There's an awful lot of things that go into making even the simplest of games, so it's totally understandable that devs would want to minimize their workload in any way possible. However, while we're all for making things easier on yourself, what we can't abide is corner cutting, and as such we simply cannot tolerate games with enemies who are all clones of one another. We know that in a game where you've got hundreds upon hundreds of minions hurling themselves at the protagonist every waking second, you're going to get some that look and act the same, and it's going to be impossible to make every last one look and act in a unique way, but for crying out loud, give us a bit of variety. Make some of them taller, shorter, skinnier, fatter, change their hair colour, eye colour, skin colour, give one a hook hand, a jaunty hat, an eye patch, knife fingers, just anything to prevent us from having to fight the same exact clump of pixels for an entire game. Yes, it's probably a great deal more work for the people who make games with lots of enemies, but it would save a huge number of titles from being mind-numbingly repetitive. Number 3. Skimpy lady armor. This is another example, like the damsel in distress trope, of a video game cliche that's gotten less common as the years have gone on, but one that still hasn't been completely eradicated, and as such, is one we're mighty miffed about. We are, of course, talking about skimpy lady armor. You know the sort we mean. You'll be playing through some epic fantasy title, keeping an eye out for some sweet loot that will keep your character safe from incoming attacks, when what should drop but an armor set with excellent stats? Brilliant, you think to yourself. I'll just quickly don this and, oh, you've become a victim of skimpy lady armor. We don't care if it's got some sort of magical enchantment that makes it protect the whole body despite being more revealing than Princess Leia's metal bikini. If we don't see metal, or at the very least a bit of leather covering every major organ, we're about to have beef with a developer. We know it's an eye candy thing, but it's a tad icky and makes absolutely zero practical sense. Now, skimpy boy armor on the other hand, we're here for that. Is that a double standard? I don't know. Let's move on. Number 2. Defeated in a cutscene. You know what's frustrating? When you're playing a game and you just can't seem to get the hang of a boss battle. No matter what you try, they're quicker than you, more agile than you, and hit way, way harder than you ever could. You know what's even more frustrating though? When you're absolutely mincing a boss, but they then summon the power of plot armor and use a cutscene to either disappear or worse, kick your ass instead? Rude. There have been a number of games over the years that have employed this cheap tactic. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order's second sister boss fights are notorious for it. Cal can be absolutely kicking the snot out of the second sister, only for her to decide partway through the fight that she's going to wheel out the Big Force trademark and win the fight regardless. Jedi Fallen Order is far from the only game guilty of this sin, but no matter if it's Dark Link pulling this crap in Hyrule Warriors or Virgil in Devil May Cry 3, it's still cheating on the part of the game, and it leaves players with an overwhelming sense of having been robbed. Hello, police? Yes, I need to report a crime. Number 1. Chest-high walls. We're not stupid here at Team TripleJump, well, not for the most part anyway, and we know that video games can't be limitless, which is a shame. But hey, them's the breaks. Developers get around this in a variety of ways, probably the most effective of which is simply clever design choices. Set your game on an island and the sea acts as a natural barrier. Make it so that you have to enter a city by drawbridge so exits can be easily sealed, or surround the place with unclimbable mountains too high and dangerous to ascend. Easy, right? Well, no, it would seem, as the chest-high wall continues to prove vexatious to gamers the world over to this very day. Oft parodied, the chest-high wall is a video game trope that will almost certainly have wound you up at least once. These barriers look to be roughly 5 feet high, a very scalable height for most video game protagonists. However, scalable they are not, despite what common sense would imply, nor seemingly can weapons penetrate the invisible force field above them. Why not double the height to make the walls look like they can't be climbed? Or better still, make it so that your strapping 6-foot-plus protagonist with biceps on their biceps has no problem vaulting over the dang things. It's silly, and it breaks immersion. Please, just give us bigger walls.